Happy Thursday. Welcome into Way Offsides. For those of you not watching live, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Welcome in. It's been a crazy, absolutely crazy week. There's rumors, there's transfer portal. You got Bediako back. Recruiting starting to pop off. There's so much to talk about tonight. This is going to be jam-packed. So I'm excited. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. It is an interesting week. A few things going on. Yeah, it's good. We're getting some cold rain coming up. A little chilly. I don't think we're gonna get any snow like Smashville, but they're predicting Smashville to be
a lot
wiped out. Yeah. How's everybody doing in the chat? Who's we got in here? Let me see what we got here. We got Army was in here at 1:15. That's nice. Kayla.
Oh, he beat everybody. Good job, Army.
What's up, Kayla? Lance in the mix. Keith, what's up, Keith? Who else we got? Robbie.
Lance is already setting the show agenda for us.
Lance already got the agenda in.
We just
Robbie in the house. Randy. What's up, Randy? Nacho Alabama in the mix. Friend of the show. What's up, Nacho? Gotta get Nacho back in here. Brock. What's up, Brock? Yeah. Hey, Kayla.
I will warn you guys, Robbie, I will say, I'm having a rough day today, health-wise. You can probably see it in my eyes. They're like super red. But I'm going to be all right. We're going to make it through it. Jeff might have to hop off in a little bit, depending on how long we go. Roll Tide, everybody, and welcome in. Happy to hear everybody's doing good. We got a lot to talk about. Robert from Ohio. Guys, absolutely.
What's up, Robert?
Load the chat up tonight. Leave thumbs up on the video. Obviously, we'll try to get to everything. Super chats obviously take priority. You guys know how this works. You're not dumb. But before we get into it, hey, we got a new member already off the bat.
Wow.
Let's give some kudos.
Let's give some kudos to Keith.
Time. I've been waiting for this one.
There we go.
Yeah. Keith, you've been around for a while, man. Thanks for becoming a Way Offsides
Appreciate you,
member.
Keith.
We appreciate you supporting the show, all of you. Jeff, good luck keeping up with comments. They're yappy tonight.
I love it.
I love it.
See my man John Dent from the morning show joining us tonight. Bama boy, what's up? What's up, Seth?
Beautiful.
John?
Beautiful. All right, before we get too far in the weeds here, there's already almost 300 of you watching. Do us a favor if you're new here. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. I promise you, it'll be the best decision you've made all year. Now, I want to preface for you newbies out there watching for the first time, or maybe you guys are watching behind the scenes. Look, we're not insiders, okay? We know a couple of folks, but we're not in the building talking to people. So most of what we're giving you is our opinion on information. Now we do recruiting interviews. We're lining up. Surprise, surprise. Trent Seaborn, he was going to try to come on tonight, but schedules didn't align. So we'll probably have him on next week. Had Xavier Griffin on last season, working on trying to get Elijah Haven for you guys. So we got a lot of good content coming up as we get into spring ball. There's a ton to talk about. We'll have Clint on again, working with Christian Miller. He just doesn't know it yet, but over
new member alert.
Do what?
New member alert
again?
Another one.
All right, Robert Hale. Hey.
Bring him up, Robert Hale. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Love it. Congratulations. Like I said, best decision you'll make all year. All right. We're going to jump right into this thing. I want to preface what we're going to talk about first and foremost. This is rumors. Okay. Jeff, this is why I brought it. We're not the insider, that kind of thing. This is just rumors, but there is a rumor going around that, Coach Kap is either going to be let go or demoted. That's what we've heard from a lot of people are reporting it. I don't know how true it is. I don't care how true it is. But if you guys follow me on X, I think it was yesterday, I posted a tweet. I'm going to bring this thing up. Yeah, we got another new member. Bring him up.
New member alert. Bring him up.
Goodness
Bring him up. Who's this?
Bring him on up.
Let's see. Who's our newest member?
Robbie, welcome in, man.
Robbie. Thank you, Robbie.
And so
Robbie.
I went back and looked at Coach Kap's offensive line performance all the way back to 2012. And I didn't jump too far in the weeds. I didn't have enough time, but I looked at sacks allowed first and foremost. So let's go over that here. Obviously, we're going to go back 2012. We're going to go back to North Carolina. I'm going to shoot through these really quick. So if you guys don't hear it and need me to reiterate it, we'll put it in the chat.
Brian, I see your question. We're going to get to it in a minute, but
we'll get to your questions. So 2012, his offensive line gave up 36 sacks. 2013, 21 sacks. 2014, 28 sacks. 2015, 16 sacks. 2016, 20 sacks. 2017, 30 sacks. 2018, 10 sacks. That's at North Carolina. Obviously, talent discrepancy there in terms of what Alabama has had compared to what North Carolina had back in the mid 2010s. Well, 2019, he goes to Colorado. Colorado they gave up 21 sacks in that year. After that, heads over to Michigan State in 2020, gives up 16, not terrible. 2021, he gives up 21. 2022, gives up 18. 2023, gives up 25. Fast forward to 2024 at Alabama. Alabama gives up 24 sacks with Jalen Milroe as the quarterback. Last season, they give up 35. Jeff, initial thoughts on that?
Listen, I don't, like you said last week, I'm not going to get on here and call for a man to be fired. Okay.
No,
that's not numbers like that is a fireable offense. Okay. You can't be that terrible at your job and run it back, so to speak. Like I said, another new member. DeBoer is going to have to make a bold choice at some point.
Sure.
He's going to have
Welcome in, Seth. Thank you for joining the Way Off South.
Thank you, Seth. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. But like I said, you can't be that bad at your job and then have no repercussion, especially here. I mean, you don't have the luxury of let's iron it out. Let's work it out for a couple of years and see how you land. You don't have that luxury here. So something needs to be made.
Absolutely. That's fair. Now, something else I went back and looked up is Alabama's season rushing totals since 2020. 2020 was a pretty good year. They had 477 rushes for 2,385 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Not bad. That was a heavy pass offense with Mac Jones at quarterback. 2021, they run the ball 548 times for 2,250 yards. So they actually ran for less yardage in 2021 with almost 100 more carries.
That was the Bill O'Brien, Bryce Young offense.
Yeah. In 2022, they ran the ball for 458 times for 2,542 yards.
Maybe.
In 2023, they ran the ball 561 times for 2,417. 2024, they ran the ball 488 times for 2,260. And Rec Room at Rec RM pointed out that 768 of those rushing yards were via Jalen Milroe.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then last year, 2025, they ran the ball 466 times. It's the least amount of times that they've tried to run the ball out except for 2022. And they ran for 1,562 yards. Obviously, it's not – obviously, the issue isn't solely on the offensive line. There's some running back issues too. Saw Jim Miller. A lot of these guys are slow on their first step, not making the right cuts, this and that. But it boils down to, if we pull all the hoopla away, it boils down to the offensive line. And the offensive line last year was abysmal. And ultimately,
yes. Thank you, LaToya.
That responsibility falls on the offensive line coach, and that is Coach Kap. Now, Coach Kap right now is out on, we're going to talk about recruiting a little later. He's out on the trail, and he's recruiting his tail off. Since he's been at Alabama, he's been a solid recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
So
like Brock, Cotton's got a theory on, there's a reason why he's still out recruiting.
I have a theory on that.
Well, you had mentioned before that you can't fire a coach in the middle of portal season and recruiting.
Well, sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's bring up Rammer Jammer, new member. Welcome in. Thank you for joining the family. Thank you for supporting the show.
Thank you, Rammer Jammer.
Yeah, you absolutely can't. You can't. But I have to think that portal-wise, Alabama's offensive line class is done. Or I shouldn't say class, but this rebuild is done. except for maybe a piece or two here or there for depth. So the question among many Alabama fans is what's taking so long? I have to lean towards right now that Alabama is not going to move away from Coach Kap. Now, the rumors that we're hearing are that he's going to be fired, he's going to be demoted, but just based off of the trajectory of things right now, I just don't know that if that's going to happen. But I feel like if they don't fire Coach Kap, I'm sure he's a great dude. I'm sure he's a cool guy, but there's got to be some kind of consequence for that abysmal rushing attack that we saw in 2025. Right? Like somebody's head has to roll. That's completely unacceptable. So if they don't get rid of him and don't make a change, then what that tells me is Kalen DeBoer is willing to risk his career on the fact that the problem isn't Kap. But then we go back and look at those numbers, and I'll do rushing totals for North Carolina and Colorado and Michigan State probably tomorrow. But just in terms of looking at sacks, the offensive lines weren't great there in pass pro. So I'm sure they weren't at great in run protection either, or run blocking either. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of it. So what does the chat think? I'm sure the chat's got all kinds of comments, Jeff.
Yeah, Grubb definitely doesn't try to run the ball as much. There's funny, I said the downfall began with the Brockermeyer twins. Although James was a starting center for Miami in the national championship game, so he didn't have the worst career. The brother, I think, got hurt at TCU and had to retire from football before he ever even played.
Nice. Oh, you guys are coming at it quick. A lot of comments.
Yeah.
All right.
Tobias is not wrong.
Let's go through, Jeff. I'm going to go back and I just want to read some of these comments for a couple of minutes. Okay. This isn't really what we're talking about, but what's our opinions on Pruitt eventually being on coaching staff? I mean, if Jeremy Pruitt's willing to come to Alabama, come to Alabama, right?
If DeBoer makes the call, then
yeah.
Now, I don't know that DeBoer will make the call.
I don't know that Alabama will go after Pruitt just because I'm not saying it's justified, but it's still kind of taboo, maybe. I think it's still going to take a couple of years, but I would love to have Jeremy Pruitt back on staff, especially as like DC. Great. So Coach Knapp.
That'd be great. But I don't. If I'm not sure how long Womack's here. If he has a good year, somebody's going to hire him as a head coach. I mean, he's got head coach material all over him.
I think you're right. If Alabama's defense does what it did in 2025, and you have to think that secondary is going to be elite. Probably the best secondary in the country. Probably the best and maybe deepest secondary in the country. You have to assume that Womack's going to get some real looks at some other places. So
yeah, I agree with that. So there may be an opening sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Hunter, I think Pittman's retired, man. I don't think he's on the table anymore. I think
he announced his retirement and said that he's
I think so. If I remember correctly, I think he's done. I know a lot of people want him. I think it'd be a great hire, but I think he's finished, to be honest with you.
Yes, Jay, and that led to the greatest dynasty in the history of college football for this decision right here. Thank Ray Perkins for that. Thank you, Ray.
Hey, we could have gotten Rich Rodriguez, man.
Super.
What do we got?
Super chat.
Let's bring it up. All right, roll tide, gents.
Thank you for the super chat, my friend.
And we should go after if Kap is actually fired. Realistic options. Man, there's that's the problem. That's the other problem, is there aren't a ton of options out there. I haven't dove into this really big. The favorites, obviously, with fans are Pittman is the name that everybody talks about. Everybody wants to talk about Coach Huff, but he's a tight end coach up in the league. I don't think that's necessarily realistic.
It would have to be a strong offer to pry him.
Yeah, it would have to be a very strong offer. So the favorite seems to be Sam Pittman, but I just don't know if he would come back to ball. And so that's another thing about this coaching carousel at your assistant position. You have to consider what's available out there. Alabama right now is in their winter recruiting window. Offensive line is going to continue to be a position of emphasis for them at the high school level. And so you need a guy like Coach Kap who's willing to get, and he's been out there. I'm not going to take that away from him. He has been out there absolutely busting his tail. Jeff, is a ghost now. He's gone. But Huff got fired? Really? I didn't know that. Wow. Oh, at Seattle. Okay. Yeah. So, Army, I don't know that I'm actually answering your question well, but I'll be honest, man. I don't know. I don't know. Like straight up, I'd have to do some digging and just kind of. But again, the fan favorite right now would be Sam Pittman. So, I've heard some people talk about what is his name, Kyle. I can't remember with the F. Sorry, Mo. All right, Jeff's back. You okay?
That was weird. I'm just talking, and then my screen said "try again." I was like, "What just happened?"
Hey, look, I gotta give Agent a shout out. Agent is so active in everybody's chats.
Man, Agent's the man.
Pretty awesome, man. So big shout out. I think so. I can't remember the name, but anyway.
There's a few out there that might be interested if the call came. The Mizzou O-line coach was buzz, some buzz around him a while back. Somebody said in the chat they want the Iowa offensive line coach. That wouldn't be terrible, I guess. They normally have a pretty good offensive line.
Yeah, they do. But here's the thing about that, and this is I put a video up and I was talking about this, and a bunch of people got upset and it's like, you're too negative, so I pulled it down. But the thing about Alabama's offensive line is, I understand they have a little bit different philosophy than what we see in the SEC, the Big Ten, historically. But if you're gonna base things historically and what's proven to work, if you look at recent national champions, they all had very physical trenches on both sides of the ball, but specifically on the offensive line. So Kalen DeBoer and this staff, whether Coach Kap stays or not, they've got to adapt that mentality, and they've got to build a bigger physical, not only say bigger, but a more physical front that is not just good in pass protection. Alabama wasn't, I don't want to say they were awful in pass protection last year. They weren't great, but they were better I sometimes. So, the Georgia
ignore
game,
the 35 sack number we threw out there
Well,
earlier.
I know. That's why I'm like, well, they were better, but they also gave it, dude. It was like feast or famine, man. Like they had games where they looked the part, and then they had games where they just they looked like a dam with holes in it. But they couldn't run block to save anybody's life. And that's because they lack physicality. Now, is that a scheme problem? Is that a personnel problem? Is that a mental problem? I think it's this. This is just my opinion. I think it's up here. I think that you have a bunch of guys who, I don't want to say they're taking reps off, but potentially they're, I don't know, man. They're just not there. Like Alabama needs dogs, right? Right. They absolutely need dogs. And we're going to find out, man, because at this point, and who just said that? Fins and Forest?
Fins and Forest. Thank you for the comment.
Yeah, Fins and Forest. Let me bring that back up. Like, I agree with you because, like, it's their line now. There's no more Caden Proctor, right? He's gone. This is a Kalen DeBoer, Coach Kap, Ryan Grubb offensive line. It's on them. That's why I'm saying, like, if the rumors aren't true about firing Coach Kap or demoting Coach Kap, and it looks like it did in 2025, Kalen DeBoer is going to have he's going to have some tough questions to answer. And I think it's justifiable. I absolutely do. Jeff?
No, you're absolutely right.
Jump in any minute.
You're absolutely right. I don't want to just interrupt you in the middle of your
story. Interrupt me, man. I was running out of stuff to say.
Yeah, let's see. There's a comment here. Yes. So Joe said 35 sacks one season. The offensive line coach needs to go. Obviously, that needs to be improved. And then Tobias right there says that's why DeBoer fired the entire offensive line, which is basically what he did. Now Brailsford went in the draft, but everybody else was. There wasn't a huge push to retain. We'll say that the ones that could be retained. I think that's a big step. Is the entire purging of the offensive line, and usually where there's smoke, there's fire with some of these coaching rumors. So I'm not going to say that it's all just fluff, but there could be something to it. You know, it may be a timing thing where once the portal window closed and the 5 days post championship game, it comes and goes, and all the guys that are entered have their name entered, then you may see a change or a reassignment, so to speak, because I mean, Cap's due to make almost $1 million next year. So he may be reassigned or moved to a different spot or something. I don't know that. I mean, I just can't believe that DeBoer would try to run it back after 2 years of the way the offensive line has played.
Sure.
So that'd be tough for me to convince already restless fan base that we're going to be fine running it back with everybody in the same spot when we had the worst running game, the worst running backs, the worst offensive line play. You said last week, Cotton, this is the worst offensive line play you can ever remember.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure.
It's awful.
We got a super chat. Thank you for the super chat.
Oh, thank you for the super chat.
No, so part of that rumor is that Cap's. I forgot about the clapping. Part of the rumor is that Cap's being basically demoted. So I mean, maybe that's something they could do there if that's true. Is move him over to tight ends and then bring in somebody. Somebody brought up the Notre Dame offensive line coach, and I really like that. I like that a lot. And so, but
we'll see. That would be interesting. I think anything would be an upgrade at this point. But you got to remember, you can't just go cherry pick the best offensive line. It's got to be a offensive line coach that's going to fit in with DeBoer's strategy and what he wants to do with a little bit more athletic linemen instead of just the bull rushers.
Let me ask you guys this, Chat, Jeff. A good offensive line helps out the running game, helps out the quarterback, right? It makes their jobs easier. If you have a quarterback who is absolutely fit for the system, I know every game you heard about Ty Simpson, he's a dual threat quarterback. He wasn't in 2025. He ran a little bit, but he was not a true dual threat quarterback in 2025. Do you think having Austin Mack starting or Keelan Russell makes who's a little more mobile, can get outside of the pocket a little easier? Do you think that makes the job easier for the offensive line or more difficult?
It probably a little bit of both. Sorry. What's up, big perm? Big worm? It's probably, you could see both ways. Yeah. we close.
Is Matt Luke available?
Is he?
Carl, is Matt Luke available? Bring him on.
I'll be playing with my emotions now.
I'll take Matt Luke right now, today.
Robert.
Thank you for the $5 super chat, man.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. Love you guys, man. Y'all are awesome.
Chat's all over it. I'm having some struggles keeping up with everything.
I'd like to, man. Now to go back to your question though, the mobile quarterbacks can be like a little bit of both. Sometimes those linemen, in the play they block they block and then they release based on the way the play is drawn up, but they can't see behind them if the quarterback starts scrambling or whatever, and then they wind up with a holding call, not because they were trying to hold somebody, but just because of the moving around, and you just instinctively you're trying to block the guy, you wind up holding him. So it can be a little bit of both. But I didn't think we used Ty's legs like we should have last year. I thought he could have been far more potent if we used his legs a little more. I don't mean like options or RPOs more or less, but some designed quarterback runs or even some of the dropbacks where they were just pinning their ears back and coming after us. You could almost take advantage of the aggressive defensive lines like that with a quarterback scramble or a quarterback draw scramble at the middle or whatever. But
sure.
I don't think we did that enough.
We got a super chat here.
Another super chat, man. Y'all are awesome.
Robbie Zell for tight end coach. Well, he's the OC. He's the OC at South Alabama right now, right?
Is he? Is he the OC?
I think so. Is that correct?
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's the OC. Could Alabama lure him away? I mean, I would pay money to have him there in the locker room using the Nick Saban voice.
It'd be hard to turn down Alabama. I mean, regardless of how the last 2 years have gone, and we lost 8 games in 2 years, everybody's up in arms about it. Y'all don't remember the lean years, the Mike years when we'd lose 8 games by November. So, excuse me. So anyway, but if Alabama calls you to come coach there, I got to believe you'd take that job. You take that call. It's Alabama,
sure.
Dude.
Sure.
Yeah, you're right.
Appreciate that, Robbie. Thank you. Bama Girl, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you.
We got a super sticker. Where is it at?
It's up there somewhere, man. They're chatting so fast. We need a producer. I need one more person to watch. There we go. Whew, the number was.
Where's J Bake?
166.
Bake's slipping.
J Bake might have. Who knows what he's doing? Have you seen him in the Way Offsides official chat on X today? They were cutting up in there today. So
I had to mute that, otherwise my phone never stops alerting.
Man.
So I have to mute the chat and then go in there and catch up. But
hey, that's a great point. I like this. Like there's too many unknowns right now, and we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great segue into talking about expectations overall for the team in 2026. Because there's a lot of let's wait and see, and I'm okay with that approach right now, 100%, because I think yes, Alabama potentially would have liked to go get a little more experience in the guys that they added via the portal, but it remains to be seen if the production level is at or greater than what they lost. And that's not just the offensive line, that's the defensive line, which I have concerns about going into the year, and the not necessarily concerns, but the linebacker room too. But yeah, there's a lot of question marks with this team. We know it's going to be very, very young, no matter who starts, where they start on the offensive line. The defense is going to be young outside of the secondary. So I think that's the approach, is like, let's just, it's okay to go, I don't know how good this team's going to be. Now, I'll tell you this, not that I'm not confident in Alabama in 2026. I think this roster's talented enough that if everything clicks, they're going to be extremely competitive. 2027 is looking to be a pretty good year for Alabama as well.
Yes.
So
I tend to agree with this comment by Smitty too. I think
speaking of Miami, they kept Gerard Pringle. I don't know if you saw that. There was Miami fans yesterday were really, really upset that Pringle jumped in the portal. There were rumors that Alabama had been tampering. I did a video on it this morning. Another rumor that Alabama had been tampering, trying to get the former 4-star running back out of Miami. I think that if they were, they almost succeeded, but he announced probably about an hour ago that he's going to stick with Miami and withdraw from the portal. So that one, whatever. I don't think Alabama necessarily needs another running back. Could they benefit from having somebody with a lot of experience? Sure, a little bit more explosiveness. Sure. Do they absolutely have to have it? Nah, they got 5 guys. They're going to be fine. So, but back to what we're talking about, the expectations. I think it's important that we're fair moving through the season. Now, spring ball is going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of positional matchups, a lot of competition. And I think that's going to breed. I asked Clint about this the other day. I think that's going to breed the best out of some folks. When we had Jet Tamala on, Alabama quarterback, he said that. He said that's why he wanted to come to Alabama, was because he felt like the competition was going to get him to another level in his game. I'm hoping that's the case.
Love that. Love when they embrace it.
I'm hoping that that's the case, but I also understand fans who are kind of on the fence and don't want to get too excited. Everybody inside of that program last year going into the fall, all you heard was high praise. I mean, this is going to be the best offensive line Alabama's ever had, blah, blah, blah.
I heard it.
And then week 1 happens and everybody's just pissed off.
I mean, on paper, you're thinking these guys are going to be good. Proctor, Dewberry, Brailsford, Roberts, Formby, but eventually to Michael Carroll. I mean, you're thinking, man, they got some hogs up there. And then there was a comment earlier, I meant to highlight it, but said, hopefully we're not in week 12 next year shuffling offensive line lineups.
Well, somebody said that in the comment, and I agree. I think that's been a big problem.
Gosh,
and
brutal.
I'll be honest. I expect them to do the same thing. They did it in 2024 as well. Now, I will say you have to realistically accept that going into the season, that Eastern Carolina game is probably going to be a little bumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Who do they have in week 2, chat? I'm sure somebody knows. Going into week 2, it's probably still going to be a little bit bumpy. It's going to take a little bit to get this figured out because of the youth. But it it is what it is. I feel okay. I'm not too upset by the whole thing. It did sound like that's what he was getting at. I remember the comment that you're talking about.
Plan here.
But I think in hindsight, looking at it, hindsight's 2020, looking at what transpired, I must have perspired, what transpired in the transfer portal, he was talking about players, to be honest with you. I mean, you saw a lot of exits. You saw a lot of folks removed that necessarily didn't have the production, you know.
Well, I mean, if you look at the numbers of the guys that moved along, now, we're developing players, Possum. Who were the best players on the team this year? They were all guys DeBoer brought in. Sure. Dijon Lee was a true freshman, wasn't starting. By the end of the year, he was our best defensive back.
Yeah, Michael Carroll looked pretty solid.
Michael Carroll was a green as all get out, and by the end of the year, he was probably the best lineman.
Yeah, and so with that, Possum, I think that there's the possibility, but that's what I was talking about earlier. Like Cignetti just showed, just like Ohio State has showed, Michigan showed, that physical style. You have guys on your offensive line, on your defensive line who are concerned. It doesn't matter what that scoreboard says. They're concerned with winning every single rep they play. If they have to adapt and regain that kind of mentality. And I call it trimming the fat. You kind of felt like they've been doing some trimming the fat the past couple of seasons. Maybe that's what's been going on. But I also, at the same time, I want to temper expectations, and so that fans don't fall into the same trap that we fell into via, and I love him to death, but guys like Josh Pate, who went and saw Alabama in person and then came out and was talking about how, you know, they're my national championship pick. This team is built different, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want people to get sucked into that trap, and then when Alabama loses a game, you know, feeling the same way we did after FSU, because that shit sucked. Sorry, there's no other way to say it. It
did. Well, we get them in week 3 this year. We go East Carolina, then at Kentucky, and then home for Florida State and home for South Carolina. So Sankey screwed us all with his 9-game schedule plus the conference championship game when everybody else gets to play like 3 tough games and a bunch of puffs. So this is what we're going to have to do. I mean, a 9-3 season is not out of the realm. The schedule is brutal, and we're going to have 2 whoever plays quarterback is going to be a first-time starter. The lineman's going to be a first unit together. It's going to be the first time any of these guys have all played together.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. Tobias, yes. I don't like to use the term soft, but I think we're talking about the same thing. I think that there were a lot of people who were soft at different points in times last year. I think along the entire team, both sides of the ball, there were folks who just took plays off or took quarters off. Remember the FSU game? Bray Hubbard jogging down the field. That video went viral. There was a lot of that.
And he wound up being our best tackler at the end of the year. I mean, you know, he wound up being one of our best players.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. And I'll be honest, I watched in the Rose Bowl. And this is what Alabama fans, this is why they're so on edge about it. Because it wasn't just getting your ass kicked by Indiana in the Rose Bowl. It was watching Alabama quit in that game. That's what happened. They quit. They gave up. They threw up the white flag and said, that's why there was like a flurry of scoring at the end of that game. And all of a sudden Indiana was busting touchdown run after touchdown run.
I mean, it was
because
horrible.
The defense just said, I'm done. We're done. We've never seen that before. But if we're being honest, we saw bits and pieces of that in different places all throughout the season. There were very few players on 2025's team who gave their all every down, every game.
Yeah. And this is a whole new team.
They have to adapt and change that. They have to, especially considering, the defensive line. I brought that up. It makes me nervous. I don't know that they've necessarily replaced the talent that they lost on that side of the ball. So, the defensive line makes me nervous. You're getting Yanze back. That's great. Zulu's probably potentially going to look at playing Bandit. I thought they might use him as like a rotational piece at Wolf, or we'll see. But there's not a lot of production on that offensive line going into 2026. So, I think it's just important.
I do like its potential. I love Delgatti. Delgatti seems like he got a mean streak in him.
Sure, he absolutely does. Yeah,
we need somebody like that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But that's the thing is there's potential. We know it's there. Alabama's going to return one of the best rosters in the country in 2026, without a doubt. Right?
A lot of unknowns though. A lot of intrigue because there's a lot of unknowns going in.
Yeah,
but intrigue is going to be really high.
Sure. But there's still hope because what you saw with the coaching staff is as soon as the Rose Bowl was over, they went to work. Yes, they missed on some dudes. There were some guys, Jacarius Peak, that I would love to see Alabama go after. They got played by Noah Rogers, or not Noah Rogers, Hollywood Smothers. But ultimately, what did Alabama do in this portal? They addressed the 3 areas of football where they struggled the most.
I thought we had a good portal season.
Yeah, I think it was a great portal season. I don't want to say great. Hold up. Pump the brakes. Skirt. But I think what we're seeing right now, and I don't think they're done in the portal. I think they're potentially going to go after. I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised if they went and got another linebacker. Would not be upset at another D lineman. But I just feel like. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm trying to think of how to say this and be neutral and not too positive, not too negative, so people don't get pissed off. But
we can be positive.
There are areas in the transfer portal where I got to see it. I want to see it live. I want to see it in live game action. Spring ball's not going to do anything for me. Summer's not going to, fall camp's not going to, I got to see it live. I got to see this defensive line live. The bandit position, I'm super intrigued by that. I keep bringing it up because it's an instrumental piece and I need to see what it's going to look like, what that rotation is going to look like. Alabama's secondary, I did a video on this earlier today. It bombed, but whatever. A lot of people aren't talking. Alabama finished top 25 in missed tackles. And when I say top 25, I mean the worst being number 1 in missed tackles on the season in 2025, per Smart Muse, right? They were still now. One of the guys who was ultimately responsible for a lot of them is no longer going to be there in the secondary. But there's a lot of things. Even that unit, as elite as it is, needs to clean up. So to be that team that we expect, and it speaks volumes. When Nick Saban, the first thing he said about the Rose Bowl was, I like Kalen DeBoer. I think he's doing a good job, but that is not the expectation in Alabama. I don't think it gets much simpler.
He's learning. He could never be prepared for that. There was nothing in his life that had ever prepared him for what he was going to deal with here from all us unhinged gumps.
Yeah. AJ, me too, man. Like I'm sure it happens. I've heard people say he can flip the switch and he kind of, he lets them have it. But I would like to see it. I'm with you. I certainly 100% would like to see it.
We've addressed the needs. So we needed help in the trenches and we went into the portal and we got help in the trenches. Of course, we're not going to know how these guys play out yet. They got to get on the field and get in the pads and the cleats and see what happens there. But the fact that he recognized the need, filled the need. Now, did we get the number 1 choice of everybody we wanted? No, nobody does. Except Texas, because they can just cut checks whoever. They don't even care.
And apparently LSU. So.
And LSU. The LSU sold their soul to the devil, and it's gonna bite them. I don't know when, but it's gonna bite them. They're having this Seton in with $100K just to have a visit on his private jet and all that stuff. I mean, LSU is selling their soul to the devil, so the karma's gonna get there. They got the number. So. Portal is not the answer, because not the end all be all. I mean, it's the answer to fix stuff, but it's not the end all be all because you're basically trading backups. We don't know if these guys can play at a starter level yet, but the fact that they've got some good tape, people are discounting them because of where they're coming from. Like Delgatti, they're discounting because of where he's coming from, and it's like, but still, it's. If he's a strong, technically sound center that explodes off the ball and gets push, we don't know how he's going to do it at this level. But you can't just recruit guys in the SEC just because they play in the SEC. You have to you have to study the film, the techniques. You have to see the kind of movement he has. You have quick feet. Can he pull? Can he do stuff? The kind of things that DeBoer wants to do in this offense to really open this offense up. So sure. I think that he saw the needs. Now, not on the staff yet, but he saw the needs on the roster, and he and Courtney are attacking the needs on the roster. And I think that they've done a good job filling these holes. I mean, we're going to have a lot of new faces and a lot of new bodies in a lot of new places. So, but he's attacking the needs.
Sure. Yeah, he is. But it remains to be seen what he can do with that. I still think the verdict's out on what's the way to go in terms of high school recruiting and development as opposed to the transfer portal. We've seen the transfer portal work for people. It worked for Ole Miss. They got them to the semifinals this year. Signetti built a team basically of full-fledged adults out of the transfer portal. But we've also seen it fail miserably. Like I say all the time, think FSU 2 seasons ago. Even this past year, they weren't, I know they beat Alabama, but they weren't that good.
Chance, there's a reason these guys are gone. Everybody just listed there is no longer on the team. So there's a reason for that. Yeah.
And Jeff, you guys aren't wrong. You're not wrong about that. Some of it is the production wasn't worth the value. There's an economy here that we're talking about. Yeah. But at the same time, the question, they're gone. No matter what we say, they're gone. So the question becomes, is the talent coming in good enough to replace the production that we lost? Because no matter what, you got some production. And then, we're talking about portal guys. We're focusing a lot on portal guys, but we look at an instrumental guy, an anchor like Tim Keenan, who didn't portal, but is drafting, or is Alabama going to be able to replace that kind of talent? Right. That's tough, man. That's going to be tough. I think they've got the dudes. They've recruited really, really well. But again, the caveat is this team is very, very, very young. And so I think that they've done a good job in finding a balance in the portal as opposed to high school recruiting. I think Alabama is focused on building a culture that they hope will keep and retain these high school recruits that they're developing and spending the time and putting the effort into. I know a lot of people are like, we don't want to become a farm school. I get that. It's a fear of mine too, I'll be honest. But I think they found a really solid balance. We just need to see it pay off on the football field. Now, Alabama doesn't have the luxury of going and getting every single 5-star there is out there in the portal or in recruiting. So it's going to come down to development and coaching no matter what. It remains to be seen if it can be done.
That's true. But that's why they put on the pads and cleats. That's why the January to really fall camp, I don't learn a ton in spring. The A-Day game and whatnot was more to scratch a fan's itch. I like the 15 spring practices, getting the guys in early. Just to kind of get them acclimated to the environment, the heat, the practices and whatnot. So it's such a drag from January to August when fall camp starts, because that's when a lot of answers start coming out as fall camp, when you got your full roster. These guys have been evaluating these guys all off season. But I think when it starts, I think that there shouldn't be any set depth chart. It should be maybe Dijon Lee and Bray Hubbard, but everybody else should be a clean board. And position here, we're going to have a legit fall camp, and the best player will play.
And I think we'll get to that new member in just a second, Jeff. But to your point, I think that
Possum.
By doing that, the competition is key. That competition, the cream's going to rise to the top. And dude, if the evals are good, if they're able to adapt, and there are signs out there. Thank you, Possum. We appreciate you,
Possum. Love you, man.
There's signs out there that Kalen DeBoer is learning, how to adapt to the SEC. This team could make a run. They could make a run. All I'm saying is I got to see it, man. I got to see it before I get that hype. I got to see it in live. You're not going to hear. I'll go ahead and tell you, when we do our preseason picks, I'm not going to pick Alabama for the national championship.
This will be the first year in a while. I don't know that I can.
Yeah. And it's not a knock against them. I just got to see it. I think they're more, personally, this is just my opinion, could be wrong. I think that they're more, the potential to win one in 2027 is higher. So
money, powder, respect.
But I think that, and that's the thing, man, is I want to be fair and realistic. But at the same time, I'm a fan. And so I hope that they go out there and beat the absolute brakes off of everybody and win a national championship. I think that they have a roster to do that. I think there's plenty of talent on the roster to do it. You just have to consider the landscape, 9-game conference schedule now.
You're going to play a SEC title game. Somebody's going to have to play 10 conference games next year.
Yeah, it's harder now than it's ever been to win a national championship.
Sankey screwed us, dude.
So,
hey, Chance, I've picked in the last 2 years, last 3, 4 actually.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, I did. I tell myself I'm not going to, and I start filling out the bracket, and it's like March Madness. I Bama all the way.
Yeah,
we were going 13-0 2 years ago, and they went 9-4 and missed the playoffs.
Chance, we were gumping pretty hard, man.
We were gumping seriously hard. Even last year, I was gumping pretty hard, and then FSU happened, and it was like, well, bracket busted. That's like when you're the team you picked to win March Madness gets knocked out in the second game of the opening weekend.
Hey,
you're like, well,
no
my bracket
kidding.
Sucks.
I got to toot my own horn here. For about 3 or 4 hours, I was the number one bracket on ESPN's app. I was the number one bracket. I think I have a screenshot of it. I'll put it up. Like, if you need
this
to
was
see
after
it,
3 games, or after how far into the contest was it?
Probably like day 1.
I was number 1 after the opening game finished, and then it was a steady decline after that.
AJ, you think it should be easier now to win a national title? I disagree. I think it's going to be much more difficult.
Not easier, but you're not so before, if you lost a game, even 2, you're out. But yeah. I think, because they're going to expand to 16 teams. They're probably going to expand to 24 at some point, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, more isn't better. We don't need more 3- and 4-loss teams in the playoffs. That's ridiculous. I don't think there should be any 3-loss teams in a playoff, and that includes my beloved Tide, who won a playoff game and was rewarded by getting their doors blown off by Indiana. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. 3 losses I don't think is good enough to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they're going to expand it, and there's going to be a bunch of them.
Yeah. And I understand people being upset with Sankey about this 9-game, kind of folding and going to the 9-game conference schedule. Jeff and I had a conversation through text about this early in the week, and I'm struggling to find anything outside of money that's advantageous about it, because here's the thing. I still think Kirk Herbstreet did some irreversible damage to Alabama with how he spoke during the Rose Bowl. Was he wrong? No, he wasn't. It was weird and embarrassing to see Alabama give up and get beat like that. But to make it such a public spectacle, it hurts. And now, if Alabama finds itself in the same position that it was in this season, if they lose 2 regular season games and get blown out in the SEC championship game, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt in the playoff. They've lost that. They've lost that. So now it becomes a little bit harder for Alabama, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I think 3 losses is okay. It depends on how the losses look. If we get our doors blown off in 2 of the 3 losses or all 3 losses, that's bad. But if we finish 9-3 and we have 3 competitive losses where we didn't quit, where we played hard, sometimes the other team just wins. Sometimes the other team just wins on that day. That's just it happens. Now, that's not to say where it's okay to lose by 5 touchdowns. That doesn't just happen. If you get blown out like that, you've waved the white flag at some point, and especially you give up 21 points in the last 6 minutes of the game or something. So you're right, Lance. I mean, the training wheels are off now for DeBoer. Yes, that's a good point, Chance. I do feel like it's easier to coach younger guys, especially ones that you've brought in for a reason, that you've recruited specifically for a reason. not just because of how many stars are after their name, but because they do something well that you need to run to how you want to do your, whether it's defense, offense, whatever. They're specifically recruited. That's why I'm saying like this year now will be all DeBoer players. There'll be what, a small handful of Saban guys left, if any. By the time
there's not much. There's not many, but I know this team only has 7 seniors on it.
So young team. Also remember, he rebuilt the entire special teams unit. I don't know if Nunez is still coaching special teams, but that's another one that needs to be reevaluated. If so, but we're going to have a new long snapper, a new punter, a new kicker. Where's the kicker from? Isn't he from
Ireland?
Foreign? Ireland. That's right. I forgot he was Irish.
Yeah. Next year's going to be pivotal, man. It's going to be pivotal. I try to remind myself. I think Bama Girl said it, and she's right. Like Nick Saban lost games too, and there were a couple there where he got blown out too. But again, just being realistic about what the roster looks like. There's just so many we don't knows. And I feel a little more confident in the offensive line going and getting the James pickup yesterday out of the portal. I need to do an update and make sure all those guys are legitimately signed and all of that fun stuff. But I feel a little bit better. I feel really good about the running back room, especially with AK Deer and EJ Crowell. I think what you were looking to get in Hollywood Smothers, EJ Crowell brings that to the table. It's just going to be a question of experience at this level, which, by the way, EJ, congratulations on Mr. Football. That's pretty awesome, man.
Well deserved.
And again, Alabama has recruited very, very well. And to Jeff's point, it's hard not to get excited about that because we've seen these Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb evals pan out really, really well. Now, a lot of those guys were upperclassmen like Josh Cuevas and Parker Brailsford. But I don't know, man. It's just there's so many unknowns and so many, like, I just want to pump the brakes and kind of wait and see. I'm not saying Alabama can't do it in 2026 under any circumstance. But I'm saying that they also could fail miserably. And again, for me, it's a story of adaptation. Like, can they adapt to what needs to be done? What clearly is beneficial to winning a national title, and that is having aggressive fronts, defensive and offensively. Alabama hasn't had that, man. They got to go get it. Everything else around them's gotten better under this team.
Yeah, good point, Chance. We keep forgetting to Kevin Riley in the rotation. He wasn't even on the radar when the season started, and then suddenly he got hurt.
That's true.
And then he came back and played a little bit at the end, and of course he wasn't effective, but none of the running backs were effective.
Kevin Riley's just so small too, man. Like,
and they were running power running plays with Kevin Riley, and it's like you don't run. The Grubb is almost like running plays just to pacify all of us screaming to run the ball.
Yeah.
So I don't know that this may be a thing where DeBoer says, man, you got to run the football or I'm going to be looking for somebody else next year because I'm not putting my legacy on the line for you.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I like going into this year is that if you look across the board on the depth chart, I know it's not a depth chart yet, but last year going to the depth chart, Proctor was a starting left tackle. Didn't matter what happened in camp. Proctor was going to be a starting left tackle. Brailsford was a starting center. Dewberry is going to be the starting left. These positions were already decided before spring ball or before fall camp. And what I love about this is nothing should be decided here, especially in the offensive line. It should be every position should be wide open for everybody to walk into camp with a legit shot to win a job. And that wasn't the case the last 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's going to be beneficial for them overall. But you have to consider the fact, if we're talking about things like the offensive line, somebody goes and wins that starting job and then gets subbed out, 3 or 4 different times in a game. I want to get to Tobias. Thank you for the $5 super chat, man. We appreciate you.
Tobias, thank you, brother.
Tobias says the UGA, the Georgia and Alabama. I keep forgetting about the damn applause. The Georgia and Alabama method is the way to go. There aren't many stars in the portal, and teams are paying. They're too deep to stay. Yes, and then we have to consider. Nick Saban talked a lot about his experience in the NFL. And then it's a lot harder to coach guys when they're making millions and millions and millions of dollars. So when you have a whole team of superstars, it's very easy to lose control of that. It's hard to get the buy-in from those guys. I think Alabama has experienced that with some guys at certain places, but that's why what LSU and Lane Kiffin are doing in the portal right now is super impressive on paper, but it's hard to predict if that's going to absolutely translate. There's a reason. And Tobias, I know you've heard me say it. For all of you who are new here, I say it all the time. The strategy is greater than the checkbook, because if you want, sure, you may go spend $40-50 million and catch lightning in a bottle, certainly. But if you want long-term success, you've got to dabble in both. You've got to, priority has to be high school and development. And then every season you supplement using the portal. I fear that what we're experiencing right now in roster turnover in the portal, that's going to be a constant thing for a lot of people. My hope is that, and Jeff and I have heard it with our own ears from recruits, their parents. There's videos on our YouTube channel of them talking about this, that the culture at Alabama just feels different. That's what they're selling. Ideally, that culture, I think, is what they're banking on to keep retention. And Courtney Morgan talked about that on signing day on a live. And then we've seen it in action. The only person they've recruited from the high school level that they've lost is Micah DeBoer. So there's a reason that. Huh?
Do we know where he signed yet? Did he sign anywhere yet?
I'm sure somebody in the chat knows. I don't have my.
I know where Micah DeBoer signed. That shocked me that he left. Like, he didn't even give it a shot.
Was it A&M?
Was it? I mean, I couldn't believe that he left. I thought, like, you came here to play for DeBoer, and then you don't even give it a year to earn your keep, like earn your spot. That was just such a weird.
DeBoer is one of those guys. I think he committed during the family event thing, if I remember correctly.
Was that the one that committed in the back of the room, and Ryan Williams was live on Instagram?
I think so, yeah. Oh, he went to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Vanderbilt,
All right.
Yeah.
Vandy. All right. Yeah, that one surprised me a little bit. That was weird.
So on that note, we got to talk a little bit of recruiting before we head out. I know you guys absolutely love recruiting, and recruiting will actually be our hot takes tonight. So
who's the guy from Thompson High School? Is that our friend that was going to be the guest?
Trent Seaborn?
Where did he come from?
What do you mean?
Well, there's Gatesman's asking, is the Wonderkin QB from Thompson coming in 26 or 27? Do we know who that is?
Yeah, he's talking about Trent Seaborn.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Is he talking about Seaborn?
Yeah, he's got another year.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
So he's a rising senior. Seaborn is?
Yeah, if I remember
school,
correctly.
okay.
I don't know, man. I'm having a little bit of brain fog tonight, so I'm having some trouble staying on task. But let's bring up some hot takes and talk recruiting. All right. Alabama's hot on the winter recruiting trail, and there's a lot of news out there. I'll be honest, I didn't bring it all up, but I'll bring some of it up. Alabama right now is favored to land the number one quarterback recruit in this cycle in the 2027 class. For those of you who don't follow recruiting, that is going to be Mr. Elijah Haven. I'm excited about him. He was originally going to commit in January. However, because of
touche rammer.
What'd he say?
He's about to light a blunt with that jam music.
Oh, I'll play it again when we're done. So just hold tight. He was gonna. Damn it, guys.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. We appreciate
love you too, brother. Appreciate you tuning in.
So he was going to commit somewhere. It looks like it's going to be Alabama in January, but basketball and things like that. Timelines just didn't pan out. So looks like that's going to happen in February, but it's going to happen after he takes another official visit, or I shouldn't say official visit, but another visit to Alabama. And that will happen on January 31st. So
yes, Lance, y'all keep your eye out for some bad weather this weekend. You may see a Way Offsides Live pop up. It's going to be one Saturday night after the Tennessee basketball game. We know that.
I'm excited to see if Charles Bediako plays. Hey, dude, hold on. Hot take. what the hell is Alabama doing in basketball practice? That dude has been back one day and already banged up in practice.
Half the team's been knocked out in these practices, and then we get to the game and we're all ground up and we're only dressing 7 or 8, and then they're all gassed by the end of the game. I haven't figured out the Nate Oates practice strategy yet.
Oh man!
I don't know if he's just dragging these guys through SEAL training to get ready for a basketball game. I don't know.
He's got them going through buds, man.
I mean, seriously, we show up, with half the bullets every week. I don't get it. I mean,
it's crazy.
Trelly, nothing happens to Trelly and he's out 4 games. And it's like, what are you doing? What happened? I don't get it. I've never seen somebody that can't play more than 3 games in a row in my life.
I don't know. But all right, let's get back to recruiting. So Elijah Haven will be on campus January 31st, and he won't be the only one. Alabama will also welcome the number 2. Some industries have him as the number 1 wide receiver in the 2027 class, Monshon Sales. He'll be there at the same time. Take that as you will. Now, keep in mind, a commitment this early in the year is cool. It's great. It's a great way to light a fire up under your recruiting class. But, you still got to go through that gauntlet. That's late spring, summer, early fall, especially when those game day visits start. So, fingers crossed.
You know anything about this guy, Cotton? Aubrey Walker?
Yes, we're going to get there. Damn it, Jeff. Golly. Pacing.
I don't know who these guys are.
Pacing. All right. On the 31st, Alabama will also host 5-star offensive tackle Caden Moss. He's the number 4 OT in the country. He visited Tuscaloosa back in June, and he attended a couple of games this fall. LSU, Ohio State, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Florida are all involved there. So Alabama's winter recruiting is definitely on fire right now. Now, the 2027 class is what we're talking about, but Alabama has had some luck with their 2026 class. For those of you, who aren't aware, guys can still commit. And they got a commitment after offering 3-star wide receiver, real technically athlete, Aubrey Walker today out of Moody High School. He's basically a wide receiver. This guy, he's 5'9", 155 pounds. He caught 29 passes for 409 yards. 6 touchdowns. But that's the key, Jeff. That's the key. He runs a true 4.34. Very quick guy. I would imagine will probably be doing some kick returning for Alabama. Jeff said, can he call a fair catch? I think that was you that said that. Somebody was like, can he call a fair catch? So Alabama,
we need some explosiveness out of that position.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Ignite your offense, get your field position was a problem for Alabama a lot. So I would love to see a good return man back there. I know that 3-star is not going to move the needle on a lot of guys, but keep in mind, this is an eval. It's potentially a depth piece. It's a late add 2026 commit, but the 2027 class is looking to be pretty. Kalen DeBoer has been flying around on helicopters all week, visiting recruits all over the place. If you haven't seen it on X, you make sure you follow us. It's Way Offsides. 4 A's, 3's not enough, 5's too many. Just like
there's a short on about that helicopter. Go check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so, you can actually see it flying in. But recruiting's underway, man, which you guys know. We leave the college football season, jump into portal, and then recruiting. So it'll be busy here. So if you're not, go ahead and lock in with us. Subscribe to the channel. We'll bring it all here. Now, look, that's kind of what we do. We get our own information, and then we, get information from other people, and we just put it all in one big melting pot right here and give you guys our opinions on it, and then just try to have a good time. This is your show. You guys have been absolutely fantastic
awesome
tonight in the chat. Love.
Just remember, these are just our opinions. We see, we say.
Yeah, there's nothing.
What we do.
Yeah, there's nothing factual about anything I'm saying.
I don't have an inside line to somebody on the staff that's feeding me information. This is just I see, I say. We watch the games. We say what we see. We give opinions.
Courtney talk sometimes.
That's all. We're not always right.
Courtney Love, that is.
Case in point, I picked Alabama to win the chip the last 2 years.
I love it. Oh, man. Hold on. Gatesman, you might have just done something. You know how Josh Pate has the Pate State thing? All these people, that big ones, have the little Bama stew. Gatesman? I'm going to steal that. I might make a little. I might make us a little mascot later.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, for those of you, like there's 700 of you watching right now. Like for those of you that are new, we basically do everything everybody else does. We just try to do a little different and have a good time. Try to be relatable. And we didn't answer comments great tonight, but
there's a bunch of them. We were trying to keep up with them.
You're going to mess around.
Me if Mac was QB1 when the season started. He's been in DeBoer's system for 4 years.
We got a long way to go. We're going to definitely have that conversation.
What's up, BD James?
My initial response is that, yeah, I think Mac will be QB1, but we'll see. Look, here's the thing about that. Just a real quick little caveat. This is a little bit extra. You get a little bit of free extra way offsides.
Yeah.
Mac can start this year, and if he has a good year, he can draft. Or he can transfer, and Keelan Russell knows after this season it's his show, so he's not going to go anywhere. So, and his mom came out like last week and was like, "No, he loves it there. He ain't going nowhere." And so, like, he wants to be there and compete. He wants that job. So, I think Mama ain't letting him go anywhere. He's locked in.
Real quick, Tobias. I think this is Sark's last year at Texas. If he wins a chip, he's in the NFL. If he doesn't win the chip, he's out and he's OC in the NFL or he's somewhere else. But I think this is his last year at Texas regardless.
I'll say this about that question. It's a really good question because there's a different perception. I think Sark might be on the hottest seat in the country.
It certainly isn't Dan Lanning, who's been blown out in every playoff. Herbstreet wasn't saying the end of the Oregon program. Oh, something else right quick, Cotton. Excuse me. I'm going to go on a diatribe here for a minute before we go.
My guess.
Herbstreet went out of his way to say the Bama brand was damaged by losing that game that way and quitting in that game that way. But then a few weeks later, the quitter Freeman is on their show, and Herbstreet's bending the knee to Marcus Freeman, like walking around the table to stick his hand out and give him a little tug and a shake on live TV.
Hold on. What kind of tug?
I'll let y'all answer that. But I don't recall Herbie dragging Notre Dame about damaging the brand when they quit the season because they didn't get their way. And then they had Freeman on the show, and everybody on the set, including our man Nick Saban, was glossing him for 4 hours, saying you should have been in the playoffs. And Freeman's like, we're going to put this year behind us. And Herbstreet walks around there and shakes his hand like a simp. And I was like, look at these guys bending the knee to the quitter. You got to be kidding me. Oh, that made me so mad. And then we're getting drugged because we lost to the divisional national champion, a team full of 25-year-olds who kicked everybody's butt, and we're getting drugged for it. But the quitters go home, and they're getting celebrated, and Herbstreet's celebrating them. Like, you got to be kidding me with this. Sorry. That's been building up in me. This is bull crap.
Right? Do you feel
that was such BS? I ain't never seen anything like that in my life. And I tweeted to Herbstreet, like, you should be embarrassed, man. You should be so horrified to ever show your face again after that display.
Definitely clipping that. Agent, I'm in Florida too, and it's going to be like 80 degrees on Sunday. I'm definitely clipping that and using it later.
We're like preparing for a winter storm, and you're like, it's going to be 80 and sunny on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be cold here next week for Florida standards. We don't have to worry about exploding trees. Falling iguanas.
That's true. About branches freezing and falling on your house.
Yeah. Fallen iguanas are a big thing. Jeff, what made you say that? We were talking about something. What made you go on that Freeman rant?
You said something about how Herbie had said it damaged our brand and everything. And then
I think
and then you said something about Oregon.
Oh, we're talking about Sark. He's on the hottest seat. He's on the hottest seat in the country. Yeah, Steve Sarkisian seat is the hottest one in the country because of the amount of money Texas is spending. I've told you guys, donor fatigue will be a real thing, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going to change the way these universities hire and fire coaches. It's going to. If he cannot make a run at a national title, I don't think he's got to win one, but if he cannot make a run at a national title in 2026 with that roster, everything they just put together, Texas is going to take an NFL job or we're shutting the door.
Here Tobias can answer this. Tobias, who was the preseason number 1 last year and didn't make the playoffs?
Texas.
You think if DeBoer was preseason number 1 and missed the playoffs, he'd have gotten off that easy? Texas. Lord of mercy.
Yeah. Lance reminds me of Auburn, man. Auburn's the same way. That's the reason Auburn's never had.
I see what you did there, Lance.
Sustained, yeah, appreciate the 4 A's. That's the reason Auburn's never had any sustained success, is because of the boosters. They're too big. That's why Nick Saban, when he came in, he was like, "Give me the keys and back the up. I got this." And so I censored myself. We're good.
Brian, is the music distracting, or you don't like the music? Is the music, background music, distracting? We're kind of trying some different types of music, or maybe getting rid of it altogether. But if it's distracting, let me know.
We'll turn it down for Brian.
If you don't like the song, that's fine too. I just want to know if the music was distracting.
Maybe we just turn it all the way down. There you go, Brian. This is your show. We got you, brother. We'll take care of it.
I did try to change the music a little, but I got vetoed before the show started.
Because I get comments all the time. They're like, "Hey, this is happening. This is happening." You guys have to understand, there's not when it comes to StreamYard and YouTube and all of that, there's not a perfect science. So when we put videos up, we record them in StreamYard, and then we have to download them. If we edit them, we have to upload them to Canva, edit them, then download them again, then upload them to YouTube. And in that process, stuff goes wrong.
It's a process.
And it's just because it's not a perfect thing. And so for those of you who are basically like, I get it. It's not going to change me listening. We appreciate you. So, hey, Jeff, what do you like to listen to when you're in the car?
I like to listen to Spotify. Matter of fact, I like to listen to this little show called Way Offsides on Spotify, because we are on Spotify now.
We sure are. Thanks to you.
Again.
Thanks to you.
Yeah.
So, all right. Make sure you go over there, follow it. Hey, look, you guys help us out. Post on socials. Feel free to clip shows, clip things. Follow us on social media. We appreciate all of you. We're going to call it an evening and go spend some time with the families. I suggest you do the same thing. Please, for those of you who are going to be impacted by this winter storm, do the stuff. Take care of yourself.
Yes, Rammer, I do.
And yeah, as always, you guys subscribe.
I'm in the Gump, Rammer, just by the way. That's where I am.
Yeah, I am not.
No,
I'm on the beach, baby.
On the beach, baby. Love everyone in the chat, man. Y'all are awesome tonight.
Yeah, y'all are
great.
Man.
Thank y'all so much. All the new members. Shout out to all the new members. Appreciate y'all so much. Everybody in the chat, the super chats, everybody just being active in the chat, giving your opinions. That's what we want. Bring all your opinions.
Bama stew, baby. Bama stew. All right, guys.
There ain't no wrong opinions, y'all.
Yeah. As always, have a fantastic week. We'll see you Saturday after the Alabama-Tennessee basketball game. Full court crimson. Say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands. Horns down, baby. Beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too.
See y'all Saturday.
Roll Tide.